All right, class, welcome back to another exciting edition of this Distance Learning with Mr. Beek, your host right here. So, I hope 6.1 went all right for you and that you're understanding it. You will need to remember all that stuff because that's not going to go away, all right? So keep in mind all that stuff. But today we're going to start our first part of chapter 6.2, which is on radicals and rational exponents. It's kind of an easy section in my opinion. I think we might only spend one day on it. Who knows? We'll see what happens. But I kind of think that you guys will knock this one out of the park. All right? So here we go. A couple of important standards that we want there that we're going to make sure that we cover. Hopefully by the end of today, I bet you guys could be at a 4. Because it's really easy. This is just between two forms, all right? So, first off, let me write this down. Radical versus exponential. There's two different forms, and then they are meaning of the same thing, but we can kind of toggle back and forth, right? Just like my name is Mr. Beek, I could write my name like this. I could write my name like this. For those of you that don't know me, hopefully you know how to pronounce it. It's pronounced like this, B-E-E-K, right? Who'd have guessed it? I think it's incorrectly pronounced German, but Beek is my name, all right? But my point is, hey, this and this way, they look different, but they both mean the same thing. They both mean my last name. And so in that same respect, this is how we're going to write math stuff. Whenever you see the word radical, you're thinking the square root. Okay? Now, we're not only going to do square roots, we're going to do cube roots and fourth roots and 17th roots. We're going to do anything like that, but the word radical kind of means what we intend. You know, really there's a 2 here for square root. We don't need to write that, but usually that's what's there, right? When you think of exponential, well, that is, hint word in there is exponent. That's going to be exponents, right? This is technically exponential form. We wouldn't have known that before, but now we know it's called exponential form. But what's going to get weird is where we're going to do x to the 2/3 power and x to the negative 5/7 power, right? We're going to do weird stuff like that. And that's why it's nice to toggle back and forth between these two, because we can rearrange stuff like this into, I don't know, easier ones that we already know. Okay? So here we go. Whoops, wrong way. If you got your notes out, get those out. Radicals and rational exponents. If you want to just listen along, Ava, I wouldn't care if you just listen along as long as you pay attention and get it. All right? I'm going to kind of skip this whole stuff right here and just get down to some examples because I feel that's the easiest way. All right? So, you know, this is the important stuff right there, though. If you look at it, here's what we're going to be doing on every single problem today. So if you want to study that and make sense of that, go for it. If you want to just watch me do some examples, I think that you're going to be a smarter individual after today. All right? So let's get smart together. First thing you got to do is just make sure that you answer the specific question. This says rewrite the exponential in radical form. When it says in radical form in our mind, that means the square root thing. All right? The square root looking sign. The fancy word for that is it's a radical sign. But usually up until this point, we've just said square root. Just know, it's radical. Okay? Here's what the answer is to this one. Here's what the answer is to this one. And here's what the answer is to this one. I want you to take a look at all 3 of my answers and just see if you can figure out the pattern. It's not actually that difficult, but we just want to, you know, make sure we know how to do it. Well, all I did was take this bottom number that's called the root, and put it right there. So the root is on the bottom. All right. And this one, the root is on the bottom. This one, the root is on the bottom. Okay? So if you can remember those, it makes it a lot easier. That bottom number of the fraction, because we're probably always going to have fractions with our exponents in this section. They're always, the bottom number is what the radical sign is. Okay? So if you're just thinking through this, okay, and what would this one be? Well, inside is obviously the big number, 625. This root, the 4, goes down there. And this 1 top number, in this case, goes over there. Now, it's very important that you put it in parentheses if you're writing that, because when we get to certain examples, it'll change your answer and potentially give you a wrong answer if you don't put it in the parentheses that I just did. Okay? So, super quick and painless right there. All right, what would this next one be here? Let's see, Olivia, can you think through what this one would be in radical form? Right away, I'm thinking, I'll just do the square root thing and put a 16 down. That's exactly right. And I'm going to put this 2 right down there, so it means it's the square root. And I'm going to put the 3 over here. Okay? Now later on, we're going to actually get, whatever number that is. But right now, we're just getting the habit of, working from one to the other. Okay? All right, so that means, Kyle, it's your turn. Stepping up to the plate. He sees the 81. That goes on the inside of the radical. The 4 is going to go here, and the 3 is going to go here, and it's in parentheses. Okay? That's my final answer, ladies and gents. Later on, I'm going to tell you how to punch those things into your calculator and get the official number for what that is. But right now, like I said, we're just getting the habit of it. Okay? Getting the hang of it. Let's move on to the next one. This one says rewrite the radical in exponential form. So if we want exponential form, that means we're thinking, hey, I need an exponent up here. I need some number in my exponent. And you'd be exactly right. That's what we're doing. Okay? So when I do that, number 4, you might be like remembering, okay, 16 is the big base number, and then I'm going to have some sort of fraction for my exponent. And you're exactly right. And if you remember, this root is the bottom number. So what would be the top number in this one? There's no number. I don't see a question. I don't see a number there, Mr. Beak. Well, guess what? If there's nothing there, that means it's the number 1. So that answer to that first one is going to be 16 to the 1/4 power. And that's all that means. Side note, the answer to that is going to be 2, because it means 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 gives me 16. Okay? But that's neither here nor there right now. We're just getting comfortable writing the form. All right? So let's try the next one. 36. Actually, I'm going to do number 5 first, because that one actually looks easier to me, because it has all the numbers in place. This one as an exponent is going to be 32 raised to the 2/5 power. Okay? Now, if you can't just remember, hey, this root is the bottom number in the fraction, come up with a way that makes sense to you and that you can remember it. But just know, if that one's the bottom number, that's all you need to know, because then you know, hey, that one's the top number and it's going to go over there, right? But whatever you need to do to, help you remember it. Okay? So that was number 5. Number 6 is going to be kind of the same thing. That's going to be 4 to the 2/2 power, which is really just 4 to the 1 power, because 2 divided by 2 is, of course, whole number 1, and that equals just 4, right? What we talked about in past examples with our exponent rules. All right, number 3, I'm jumping around here, but this is going to be 125 to the 4/3 power. That took me 8 seconds, and I'm all done now. Yeah. Okay? Now, I skipped number 2, and I kind of did that on purpose. I'm going to erase numbers 3 and 6. Hopefully, you can pause it there if you need to study that a little bit more. But number 36, or excuse me, number 2, I only see the numbers 36. I don't have the numbers to give me the top and bottom part of a fraction. Okay? Well, just like number 16, or I keep saying the numbers, just like number 1, on that 16, the exponent is on the top is 1. So really, for my 36, I have a 1 there. And when you don't see any number in between, here we saw 5, there we saw 2, there we saw 3. Here we haven't seen anything. That one's a 2. So that means this is the square root. Because when you say square, it means, you know, something times something. So this is going to be the answer of 36 to the 1/2 power. Okay? Like that? My drawing. Let's give him a tail. There we go. It's a duck. 36 to the 1/2. All right, here we go. Everyone making sense on that? Why don't you guys, let's do the thumbs up thing if you get it, thumbs down if you don't, all right? On your computer screens at home, give me a thumbs up. Let me see them all. Stick those thumbs in the air. I know you're feeling silly right now, but no matter where you're at, I hope your thumbs up. If not, rewind this video and watch it again, all right? Because now we're going to start adding a couple more pieces to this, and we're just going to evaluate. Now, when it says evaluate, that means get the answer, right? Now, you can plug this in on your calculator, okay? But we can actually just kind of think it through, and most of these are going to work out to be kind of easy numbers, all right? So Chase, don't worry about anything. Let's try to do it manually rather than with a calculator cheat, okay? I'm gonna skip over to this one first. All right, if I had to do that one, it says rewrite it in radical form. This one was in radical form. That one was in radical form. That's going to be the easier way to do it. So on this one, I'm going to want to rewrite that as the square root thing of 16, but on the inside goes to the 4th. And then in parentheses, it's 1. Right? And for this one, it's going to be negative 16 on the inside with 4 and with 1. When we have them all in radical form, like we do for all of these now, it's going to be the best way to answer them. So just take my word as a experienced mathematician. That's going to be the easy way to go. All right? So let's go back and officially solve these now, because I haven't even evaluated. I'm just kind of jumping all over the place, right? Trying to get your I don't know, knowledge figured out. So anyways, if this is in radical form, that means the cubed means that it's something times something times something that's going to give me the number negative 8, right? And so can you think and just kind of, you know, brainstorm what might that something times something times something be? Well, hopefully you guys can think through, hey, I think 2 times 2 times 2 is is 8, right? And so then if I just tack on negatives on those, it's going to give me that answer that I want. So the answer to this one is negative 2, because negative 2 times negative 2 is 4. 4 times negative 2 gives me negative 8, and that's what I wanted. So when it's in the radical form, I kind of think it's easier to think through. All right? I'm going to skip letter B. Let's do letter C right here, and then we'll call it good after that. Okay? I'm gonna come up to the side and do it right there. Okay? All right. So if I have this 4th root of 16 raised to the 1 power, what that means is I want to know what times what times what times what gives me 16. And after I figure that out, I'm going to raise it to the 1st power. Well, that's just the same exact number, okay? And maybe you're thinking, I think the answer is 2 again. And you're right. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 4 is 16. So our answer to this one is the whole number, the integer 2. Okay? Let's try a little bit more, because those ones I gave you radicals. Now I'm going to give you a little bit weirder ones, where there's, 4/3 and 3/4 and 2/5. Those ones look a little bit more frightening. Oops. But I think you can handle it. Okay? If we rewrite it in radical form, this is going to look like this. 16 in parentheses. Where does this 4 go? It's the bottom number, so it goes there. And this goes here. Okay? Now, if you remember right, we just did this problem, right? We just did the 4th root of 16. So I'm not going to explain that. The answer is 2, right? So if that answer is 2, what is 2 to the 3rd? Right? Really, that's what this thing becomes 2 to the 3rd, which is the whole number 8. And that is our final answer for that one. Okay? Let's try letter B. This is, in radical form, going to be 27 right there. The 3 is the bottom number, so it goes in the root. And after it all, I'm going to put it in parentheses and raise it to the 4th power. Okay? Well, let's think through what is that number. It means what times what equals 27. Hopefully you're thinking 3, because you're right. 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. So that makes this thing 3 raised to the 4th power, which I haven't done yet. And now I just need to do that number on my calculator, which gives me 81. Okay? How do you get that on your calculator from there? You would type in 3 and then the caret button, 4, and press equals. And you get 81. Alright? Everyone kind of alright on that one? Thumbs up? Okay? That's good stuff. Alright, and honestly, that's it for this section. There's a couple homework problems in the book that I originally was going to assign. I think I'm just going to find I'll have a different assignment for you. So we're kind of all done with that one. All right. Please let me know if you have any questions. You guys have a wonderful rest of your day. I miss you so much. I wish you were in class and we could actually hang out and get to know each other. But hope you're doing all right. Take care.